So in this question, we're given two curves and we're asked for the coordinates of the center of mass. They call it the mass center. It's also referred to as the center of gravity or the centroid. So they want the coordinates x bar and y bar of the center of gravity. So I've shaded the area here, and it's the area between this graph, y squared equals 4x, and y equals 1 over 4x squared. So first of all, let's rewrite this in the form y equals. So this, if we take the square root of both sides, is the square root of 4x, which is 2 times x to the power half. Okay, so that's this y, and this lower y is that. So this y here is the difference. It's this minus this. So that's your first thing, that you can find the difference between the two curves. That's the distance between this point and this point, or any point here and the corresponding point there. So this y is equal to that. Okay, so that's your second thing you need to do. Now, to find the coordinates of the centroid, luckily we have a formula for that. So to find the x coordinate, it's the integral of xy from a to b divided by the integral of y. So this is simply the area. And to find the y coordinate, it's similar, but it's half the integral of y squared divided by this same integral there. So really it's just a case of integrating. They've given us some useful information here. They've said that the edges have a length of 4 meters. That means this is 4 meters and this is 4 meters. So if this point here is 0, 0, then this point here will be 4, 4. Or an easier way to do it is to put 0 here and 4 here. So A will be 0 and B will be 4. So what we need to do is find 4 integrations. 1, 2, 3, 4. And luckily this one is the same as that, so it's really just 3 integrations. So let's start with the first one. Let's start with this one because there's 2 of them. So I'm going to take this integration here and calculate it here. So the integral of y dx from 0 to 4, I'm going to replace y with this quantity there, which is the difference between this and this. So this minus this. So there you have your integration. It's straightforward, it's a polynomial. So you just add 1 to the power and divide by the new power. You add 1 to the power and you divide by the new power. So half plus 1 is 3 over 2. Divide by 3 over 2, that means multiply by 2 over 3. And 2 plus 1 is 3, divide by 3. So then you just substitute your 2 limits, 4 and 0. Put that in a calculator, and that'll give you 5.3. So we've now found this denominator here. Now we need to find these two numerators, xy and y squared. So to find xy, we simply take y, which was this, and we multiply it by x. There. So that's x, and this part here is y. And before you start integrating, you need to multiply this by both terms. So you have x multiplied by 2x to the power half. You add the powers. 1 plus a half is 3/2. And then x times x squared is x cubed. And now we can integrate. So you add 1 to 3/2, that gives you 5/2. And you divide by 5/2 by multiplying by 2/5. And the same here, you add 1 to 3, that gives you 4. And then you divide by 4. So these 4's together give you 16. And these 2's give you 4. And if you substitute your limits, 4 and 0, that's that 0 there, that gives you 9.6. So now we found the numerator. So we found this and that, and we can divide these two to find x bar. So we've almost finished. But so this 9.6 is the numerator, and 5.3 was the denominator. That 5.3 from up here is the denominator. You divide those two and you get 1.8. So we found x bar. That's half the question done. But now all we need to do is find this integration and we've finished. So remember, we've already found this. It's 5.3. All we need to do is find the integral of y squared. So let's write y squared the way it is. This is y. Let me just label that. That is y. And because we want y squared, that's a squared. This half, I'll use that later. So when you have a binomial squared, you can write it out as 2 binomials or 2 sets of brackets, and then you just multiply the first times the first times the second, and the second times the first, and the second times the second. And if you do that multiplication, you end up with that. These two are the same, so 2/4 is a half, that gives you a 1. So that's the 1. And that is that, and that is that. Substitute, we still have to integrate. So the next step is you add 1 to that, and you add 1 to that. You divide by the new power. There you have 5/2, plus 1 is 7/2. And that's 1, add 1 is 2, and 4, add 1 is 5. And the limits are 0 to 4. Put that in a calculator, and that will give you a number. It'll give you 8.23. So now we have everything we need, because this is 8.23. Don't forget the half. And we know this is 5.3, so we simply put that in your calculator, and that gives you your y bar. So now we're ready to find the centroid. We'll say, well, the centroid is at 1.8, 0.77. So basically that's x bar and that's y bar. Right, so this is the number we found there, and 1.8 is the number we found there. So that's how you would find the center of mass, or the centroid, or the center of gravity. They're all synonymous. So whenever they say find the centroid or center of mass, center of gravity, they mean the same thing. So I hope you found that helpful.